I've mentioned that it wasn't just the southern Mediterranean and of course the eastern Mediterranean that was dominated by the Arabs, and of course by this time Spain was very firmly in Muslim hands as well. But there were also very significant Muslim settlements, colonies if you like, along the northern coast of the Mediterranean. In particular, we find, for instance, in southern France, in a town nowadays, small town called La Garde-Freinet, more usually known to historians as Fraxinatum. It's not far from present-day Nice. For the best part of 200 years, there was a thriving Muslim city there, independent of the caliphate, but nonetheless very important. It was in fact the most important port of France in that period. It only fell to the Franks in 973. Corsica and Sardinia were also in Muslim hands. In fact, if you look at the the regional symbol of Corsica, now of course part of France, you'll see that it is a black head with a turban. They call it la tête mort, because so much of Corsica's medieval history is intimately tied up with its relationship with the Muslim world. Also on the Italian coast, you had in particular a number of small Muslim settlements, sometimes barely more than garrisons or fortresses along the coast. Amalfi was the best known of these, and one reason for the fluorescence of Amalfi as the first of the great Italian Christian trading states was the fact that patterns of trade and local trading traditions had already been developed under the period of Muslim rule. Sicily, of course, also becomes substantially a Muslim country until the time of the Norman invasion. And as I said, the only break on this almost colonial expansion of the Muslim world towards the north was the fact that the Arabs generally were not terribly interested in Europe. They had this idea, and indeed to a large extent the experience of Europe, as a rather cold, unfriendly place, full of forests with no major settlements, no significant economic activity. The fact that the great intellectual and spiritual life of Europe, by this time becoming quite considerable, was enclosed within monasteries didn't help. And generally the medieval Arab stereotype was of Europe as a kind of dark continent, something quite barbarous and uninteresting.